Hello, everyone. My name is Lorraine Danielson, and I am an agent out of Dallas, Georgia. And today we're going to talk about getting sellers. So I am going to hop around a little bit on my screen. I'm going to get in here to share really quick. And here we go. So, what happened when I stopped chasing leads and let them find me? So, I decided a few years ago that I did not want to chase to get business. I wanted it to come to me, pretty much kind of like my sphere. And one of the things I discovered was that I needed to do that. I was going to need to niche down on my site. And I'm in Dallas, Georgia. I am northwest of Atlanta. And I intentionally did not say Atlanta to everyone when I introduced myself. I am in Dallas, Georgia. I work in Dallas, Georgia. My site, which here's an example of it, my Sierra Interactive site is Dallas, Georgia. So, one of the key things that I wanted to do was to get listings. And we're going to talk today about how that's important. Over the next couple of days, I'm going to teach you how I got those listing leads, how I built my site out. And I'm going to be very honest with you. I just was telling Mallory, I broke some things because when I first started, I set up a few things a little bit wrong. And I don't want you guys to do that. So I'm going to show you the right way to set some things up. And we're going to talk about what it looks like to have somebody call you and the difference in a seller and a buyer lead. So really the way I got into it was, like I said, I was looking for the kissing cousin, I always say, of somebody that referred you. They liked and knew you and thought that you were somebody recommended you. Well, here's the thing: Google recommends me. We all know AI is changing our whole world right now, and how that works. It does work different than it used to, and it's ever changing. So I'm going to warn you there, and I'll also warn you this is work. So let's talk a little bit about Sierra. I'm going to give you an example. So, if you went and bought a Toyota Camry and you bought a Lexus ES 350, and you were doing that, then my thing to you is what I would say is, did you know they're built on the same chassis? And they are. So when you first get Sierra, you're going to get more of the Toyota Camry. It's amazing. It's a great car. It drives well, does all the things you need. But the front end does not have upgrades and luxuries and all those kind of things. So if you add the SEO into it, now you've got the Lexus experience. You've got bells and whistles, you've got upgrades, and that's really what the SEO does for you. So I don't want anyone who has a basic site and you haven't built out on it yet to think that you're going to rank for all this stuff because you haven't you haven't put all those upgrades into it. And so that's kind of where you're at. And we're kind of like field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. And that's really what I wanted. I wanted a lead that came to me. So we will be talking about niching down. So let's talk listing traffic versus buyer traffic. And really the difference is when somebody goes on the internet and they're searching, and I'm gonna pop this down for just a second here. Let's see, so you guys can see me a little bit better. Whoops, it didn't want to get back into my share screen. Well, that's okay. We'll stay in it. One of the things is that everybody types into Google homes for sale in Dallas, Georgia, homes for sale in 30157. Those are terms that people buy all the time and they do pay per click. And those have always taken place. And so those are usually the first thing somebody sees is the search returns where somebody bought a lead. And that's what happens a lot on buyers. They also sometimes buy long tail keywords, homes for sale in Dallas, Georgia, with land, with a pool, 3-bedroom homes in Dallas, Georgia, things like that. So those keywords get bought heavily. And then what doesn't get bought though is questions when somebody is asking a question. So that's usually where you're able to rank a little bit better on something. You can still rank for those or keywords, but you're now competing with mostly Zillow and Realtor who buy leads. Now, I bought leads back when they used to not really buy them. It was usually small brokerages. It was as team. You might find new construction bought them, but now they heavily dump money in that. And the reasoning behind that is they want to show up. So I'm going to talk about what's above the fold and below the fold. So when you're looking online, you're going to have above the fold. That's an old newspaper term. So the top of the newspaper was all the exciting things that happened. And then below the fold was still relevant news. It was on the front page, but it wasn't as important. So if you think of it as a newspaper when you're looking at your screen, and we all do this when we Google, you're going to look at the top and you're probably only maybe going to go below the fold, which is a scroll down. That's one scroll. It's totally different on your computer versus your phone. And your SEO is going to show up different too. You'll rank a lot of times better on your desktop, believe it or not, than you do on somebody's phone. So I know that's going to sound strange and I don't know why. It just happens, but it will happen. So that below the fold is where you get too far down, nobody's going to see you. I mean, how many times are you Googling something? And like I said, we say Google, we don't say Bing, we don't say Yahoo. When you're Googling something, do you go 2, 3, 4, 5 pages in? You really don't, right? If that information's not on the front, you're not going there. You might not click in an ad because you realize you were looking for something specific and that is an ad for another product that's trying to get you to lure it in, but you usually don't go too much past the front page. Now, if you're looking for something local and you see a national brand, you might not click into it, right? If you're doing something very specific. But that's the part that you've got to realize that you need to show up on there. And that's really how they find you. So for me, I I decided listings were easier to rank because they don't really get bought. Those keywords the same. They get bought sometimes, but not as heavily. And it was easier for me to be the local option. Like I said, if somebody went in, they know who Zillow is. It's just like knowing the term Google. So that was a big thing for me. And then there's also other things that you can rank for. Um, People, and you do it too, we type in questions. And when a question gets answered, you're more likely to show up if they think you're an authority on Google. So that was another way I could win. So I did a lot of blogging when I started this, and I had to write everything I wrote it. There was no AI when I first started this. The game has changed. You can do it more rapidly. So that was another thing that I was looking for. So we're going to go over in the next few days how to niche down, how to pick a location, how to do the framework, and I'm going to give you some prompts to be able to write content. I'm going to give you a whole list of blogs that you could actually write to rank for sellers and to get listings. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is when you're trying to niche down, it's probably the most important thing that you're going to do. And everybody wants to do this. They get super gung ho about it. But I know from doing this for a while that you really need to, let me get into, I apologize. I got back out of my share. Let me get back in. You need to really think long and hard about this. So I came up with, let me move this around. Here we go. Some tools that I'm going to give you, and I'm going to drop one of them in the chat. And this is a link. And after this class, I'm sure Sarah will share this as well with you. Trying to get my chat function back up. All right, there we go. So this right here is I'm going to share how to niche down and how to decide. And this is so critical because if you make a mistake here and you start building your site, you will break things, you'll lose SEO, a lot of work time. And it was something I struggled with in the beginning because we always tend to go broader sometimes. And then I niched down and then I had to get rid of some content. So for me, I niched down to a city. There's times I wonder, should I have done the county? But it's harder the more cities you add in. So where are you planting your flag? That's the question. Are you picking a city? And this is going to ask you all kinds of questions. There's no right or wrong answer. It's what you decide and what works for you. Um, but do you live there? Did you grow up there? If you didn't, how are you going to find out all the things you need to know? Because you need to be an expert. If somebody comes to you through the site and you don't know information, you're probably not really getting hired and you wasted your time. Are you actively working that market? How long have you been there? Do you actually know neighborhoods and subdivisions and streets? Do you know about the schools and employment? Like I can tell you right now, my county has no industry. Only 14% of the people who live here actually work in the county. Everybody else commutes out. And I do think those numbers nowadays are a little skewed with people. Working from home, but that's a really small amount. Everybody commutes out. Okay. I'm on that last band of what's considered Metro Atlanta. So that's kind of huge here. So can you talk about commute? This is going to talk you through. Maybe your niche is not a city. I have a friend whose website, she does a lot of horse farms and she does a lot on her YouTube about it. She's very hyper local and she's built a lot of her content around a niche that really isn't just her city. That's her ideal client. So a lot of her content is that. Are you doing, waterfront properties? Are you in Florida and it's condos? Like I don't have any condos. I looked yesterday. There are 14 townhomes in my whole county, right? That's nothing. We're all houses, pretty much. So this is going to walk you through all the things that you could question on what you're doing to build out. And then the next thing I'm going to tell you is, are you building this out or are you paying someone? Because that's going to be where you're going to start realizing, is it a time factor? Is it a money factor? How much can you build? One of the things I always ask anyone who calls me on this is, do you want to have a larger portion in a small pond or do you want to have very little business and a big keyword name? So if you're trying to rank for Atlanta or Boston or any big city, it's going to be really hard. Those are heavily bought. There's a lot of competition. But what about a suburb? Or what if you build out a ton of neighborhoods or something like that in there? But you're going to need this framework whether you want listing or buyers. And I'm going to show you that whole framework. Okay. So I'm going to, let me get back over here. I'm going to show you something real quick. So this is my strategy. I funnel everything back up into Sierra. I have my Google My Business. So I show up on the map pack when anybody is looking in my area. YouTube, I'm not that great. I only have a few videos. It's one of my goals this year. I will tell you, I did get a lead just this past week for my pros and cons video. It's usually where they come in. It's an easy, low entry if you're trying to do that. If you're going to do a YouTube video, put it on a blog. If you're going to put it on your site, which you should when you blog, and do a neighborhood tour or talk about something, don't put it on your landing page. It will slow it down. And niche my social media back. So here's my question to you. Would SEO be worth it if leads like this just showed up? Check my time here. This was a voicemail I got. Hi, Lorraine. My name is June. I live in Denny Springs subdivision in Dallas, and I've been trying to attempt to sell my home a few months ago. Just want to talk to you about it and see what you think. Give me a call. This is another one. Hi, my name is James. I live in South Dallas. Looking to sell my home. They were doing research, contact a couple realtors, but they know I was familiar with Dallas and they wanted to list within the next week or two. This is a contact form. They wanted my email address so they could talk to me, and they sent me an email. So let's talk about that. I don't get registrations ever on listings. I know you're going to think that's crazy, but I don't. All my registrations are a phone call, an email, or a text. They reach out to me because they found me. And this is what it looks like a lot of times. So if you look up list it or sell your Dallas, Georgia home, I will pull up. Now, this is a little controversial because listing a home is a realtor term. So let's talk about realtor terms. We use realtor terms a lot of times. Somebody else is probably going to Google, an actual client is going to Google sell it. But I did this for a couple reasons. I wanted to show up more than Zillow, which I do. Not consistently, because sometimes there's an ad running. Sometimes Redfin wrote an article. Like you're going to see this adjust. The AI overview. You could go in different times of the day. It might show something different, but I just need to show up more than anybody else. That's my goal. So I did this strategically because I wanted to, when they came on here, to be on here more than anyone else. And I'm going to show you, I'll go into incognito. We'll see what's happening right time. Now it's 1:18 Eastern time. But the other day I was the AI answer. I'm on this side. I was one, there's Zillow, and I was three. So if you wanted to, you typed in sell your Dallas, Georgia home or list my Dallas, Georgia home, and you saw me, would you click on me? Would you call me? You probably would, right? Um, so this right here was the AI overview that day. It did recommend me. And I was over here. I was actually one and two, I just realized. So that's been my goal. I just want the reach out. So let's see what this looks like. Go incognito. So sell Dallas, Georgia home. So right now, somebody else is up in the AI overview, but here I am. And there I am again. So, what's other things that they ask for? So people type in, like right now, some of the most common searches, and when I share the blog information to help you rank, is let's see, my home did not sell in Dallas, Georgia. So what happened here? It didn't sell. So if it didn't sell, I wrote blogs, right? I wrote blogs about it. And then I'm directing them back to list with me, right? That was one of the things that they're going to ask questions right now. They're going to ask things like why it didn't sell or how can I sell my Dallas, Georgia house fast, right? So sometimes these work well. Fastest way to sell a house. How can I sell my house fast for cash in Dallas, Georgia? If they just say fast for cash, you're not going to rank. Because guess what? See, there I am. So I'm going to get out of that screen. So why is that so important? That's the question, right? It's because Google searches for specific terms. So if you're making content and somebody just wants to sell their house fast for cash and they don't say the area they live in, you're not going to rank, you're not going to show up. But there's enough people that do, right? There's enough people that will come in. If you're going to put on there to sell it fast for cash, you better have some investors, right? We're going to talk a whole strategy plan. If you're putting content out about downsizing, you better have a plan on how to handle seniors and downsizing, right? Like whatever this niche looks like for you, That's what you've got to build out on the back end of your business, but you definitely can niche down for it. So let's talk where you're vague. That's what gets you in trouble. If you have a whole website and you're like, I put my buyer's guide on there, but nobody's downloading my buyer's guide, nobody's coming to a page about buyers and a buyer's guide, it's because that's so generic, you're never ranking for it. But your Dallas, Georgia buyer's guide will rank. So that's this niching, that's being very specific that you're probably going to want to do. So when you're niching down, there's some things that you can rank for that you can build out: probate, retirement, relocation. Are you in a military? Maybe you have a military base close to you and people are relocating, right? Are they downsizing? Divorce, failed listings. A lot of my leads right now, because where I'm at, we have a lot of inventory, we have a lot of failed listings. That's not the same everywhere. Some people are still having multiples. There's all kinds of things going on. You know your market. That's going to be the difference. Like when I write my blogs, I do have an AI prompt I'm going to share with you guys later on how I write them out. But the biggest thing there is that when I write them out, I then go in and edit, or I edit the prompt and add to it. We had a lot of neighborhoods in Dallas that when the market crashed, at that time, they stopped building, right? That happened everywhere. Well, then when they started building again out here, we could have 3 to 5 other builders that finished out a neighborhood. So the houses look different. You'll have all kinds of different styles. So that's something very local that I know. Um, I know right now that if I list a home, they're competing still with new construction, right? They're getting incentives at new construction for interest rates, closing costs paid. That's probably 25,000 in concessions. That's going to impact me listing a home. So if I'm writing about that, I know what's going on. I have a better chance of capturing somebody than if I'm just super generic. Because to be honest, you just won't rank then. So let's talk funnel, right? So my leads, because they call me, text me, email me, they're very specific. When they come in, this is where a buyer lead usually comes in the site. I feel like they're off a buyer seller guide, they're off a neighborhood, they're just looking for a house. And they're like any lead, they're just a raised hand. Like most leads are cold. They saw a house, they just want more information, or they never call you back. They don't answer your phone calls, texts. We've all been there, right? Then you have your live body leads, but I really wanted what I considered a hot lead. And so for me, that was where I built the sellers out. They just reach out to me. So let's talk a little bit about framework. So Inseer Interactive is literally my foundation. I built everything off of it. And then your landing pages are kind of like that frame in a house. If we don't have good framing, I don't know if you guys have ever done new construction and they craned in a roof and then all the plates and everything aren't in place and you could literally destroy it. So that's where your framework is going to be super, super important. So, so once you've decided where you're going to niche, um, I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to give you some prompts to help build that out, but I'm also going to give you today, and I'm going to pop this in. This is a blueprint. Once you've answered all the things and you know where you're targeting, let me pop back over into the chat. All right, let's see here. So this other one is going to give you how to build your drop down. So I'm going to pull up my site here. So really, when you come into this, I repositioned, and I just told you the other day, I in the wintertime tend to work on everything when real estate's not crazy. And I needed to move my neighborhoods out. I had nestled them under another drop down and they were not ranking. as much. And then I had somebody with a Sierra site in Atlanta build out parts of Dallas, and he's was bumping me out. And I'm like, I got to do better. I got to reposition this, had to tear some stuff down. And that was just because it used to work for me and it's not now. So I have everything nestled under this tab now. Um, but then under my sell my home, I have sell your Dallas, Georgia home listed. Like I said, that's a realtor title, but if I'm on the page all the time, I'm probably going to rank better than if I wasn't. And occasionally somebody does type that in. There's listing your Powder County home, sell your home fast. So these are my drop downs. This is what I'm directing all my traffic back to, because something can happen. This is, I don't know who came up with this word, but it's called cannibalization. So when you're building your drop downs and you want people to come here, like I want people to come to my zip code pages, right? This is an IDX. I want to feed everything back. And we'll talk in our next classes on how these pages should be, how they should look. Um, I wanted to make sure that I was directing traffic here. So I wrote this amazing blog about one of my zip codes. And the content was so much better than my content on my zip code. I started ranking for the blog instead of the landing page. The problem is you can't direct traffic all the ways back to this to a blog, right? And so, and then I started noticing I was ranking for the blog, and then the blog started going down, right? Because everybody else was driving all this traffic back to their landing pages. So, I also am going to give you guys later on a prompt and a way that when you write content in Claude for a blog, it will check to see if you are cannibalizing, if you're eating away at something that you really want to rank, and so that you don't do that. So they support those pages, they don't take away from them. Because that's the whole strategy with blogging. You're either trying to direct traffic and juice to SEO juice to that main landing page, or you're going to rank for a question, right? It could be, a lot of times people ask things like, is it a good place to live, right? But I'm also on the seller side going to give you 130 blogs that you could write. You can use AI to do it. It's okay. You just have to be careful. And here's why. I don't think I actually have Claude up. Hold on. Yep, back at it. I am. So here's something I will tell you. When you create anything in here, let me go to one of my chats. Um, where does it say this? It's at the top. I was working on this. Sorry, picked a long one. Um, right down here, it says Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double check responses. Do you want to know why? It's not you. It's not a real person. I know everybody thinks it's going to take us over, but it gives a lot of wrong information sometimes. So if you're working in this and it pulls information off the internet and you're like, that's not accurate, you got to read it. You got to check the links. You got to make sure it linked to the right place. It hallucinates sometimes. You could be building out in it I've been doing it now for like 7, 8 months. And all of a sudden, it will not remember a link that I need it to. And it's done it a ton of times. You have to question it. You got to push back on it. It might tell you the wrong thing. It could tell the wrong information on a neighborhood. Or not enough. It can be very vague. It'll give quick and easy answers. And it's not as people pleasing as I feel like ChatGPT can be, but sometimes it gives you an answer. So I will tell it when I'm writing content, don't answer what you think I want to hear. Tell me the right information. Research this, look online. If you're telling me I don't need something in a prompt anymore, like it's not necessary, I need to know why. Why? And sometimes it'll tell you in one chat something, and another one it'll tell you something different. So it's a tool. It'll speed everything up, but you do need to question it. And like I said, don't rely on it. It's not the authority. It doesn't know that maybe like at one of the parks, like some of my content is hyper local content, so it's all about Dallas, Georgia. Like if you come over here, you'll see I have a move to. Um, and I have like pros and cons. I have things to do. One of my tabs is things to do, right? So if you come in here, I've got restaurants and farmers markets and golf courses and dog friendly restaurants and anybody you'd want to know about the area. But one of my parks, it was writing a page and it talked about the pool and all the stuff going on, and they didn't realize they actually tore the pool out. So that's where you are the local expert, and you've got to be careful when you're building with it that you stay that way. So let me, um, so when you're building out that structure, I gave you kind of a page. Let me get over here. Um, sorry, I did, that's a blog post. Okay. So this is some questions. Oh, that's not the one. I apologize. Um, I was giving you guys so many things. I've lost the one. Let me open it from here then. When you come in here for the blueprint and how to build your site out, this is actually going to break down some information for you for you have your homepage. From there, it's going to talk to you if you would do counties or cities or whatever you decide you want to focus on. This is going to tell you how to actually do a URL format and then notes on what that is. Homes for sale in that city, buy a home, about the city, market update. But you got to mention in everything your city. When I did this early on, I would label a page and then I realized later market update means nothing unless it's a market update in that city and that zip code and that school district. If you have amazing schools and you want to rank for a school district, where I'm at, people buy homes for schools. Think about your area. When somebody comes to you and says, I want to buy a house, and you're doing a buyer consultation, think about what they said to you. Did they tell you, I want to be in these schools and only these schools? Then that's important. If you're in an area where maybe your schools aren't as good and people don't ask that, they say neighborhoods or they say a zip code, or how does somebody talk about real estate when they want to find a house? That's what you need to build out. Different parts of Atlanta, people say different things to me. But don't think like a realtor. We use a term here, OTP and ITP. OTP is outside the perimeter. ITP is inside. Nobody's Googling that. Okay. Nobody's Googling that. You're never going to get fined. You know what I mean? Like you might could use it as a phrase in something that locals do, but you're not getting found with that. So this is like, what are your zip codes? These are my examples, right? So it gave you some help. If you copied and pasted all your links into Claude and said replace my information with in Lorraine's um, content pillar, it will literally do that for you. So that way you know exactly what you're building out. When you fill out that niche form, that questionnaire, you will now know what you need to build, and you'll know how to make sure your URLs are correct, everything's formatted right. I'm going to show you tomorrow, if you come back on the next class, how to do that on the back end in Sierra. So, zip codes. These are neighborhood pages. Um, this right here is more of that. These are, I call them lifestyle. Nobody Googles lifestyle. It's just a way that I put them in a subheading. These are things that people look for that are those long tail keywords. New construction in Dallas, Georgia. Luxury homes in Dallas. Waterfront homes. Homes with a pool in Dallas, Georgia, right? Dallas, Georgia. I've got to mention all this, right? With the city, 4-bedroom homes, Dallas, Georgia. If I don't do that, nobody's going to know what I'm talking about. It's too generic. So these are actually things you can rank pretty well for. Let's look real quick. I'm going to pop in here. Let's try this. 5-bedroom homes in Dallas, Georgia. So there's Zillow, Realtor, Berkshire, Trulia, and then me. So I created this on March 7th. I don't know why I didn't have this. I watched a class Carl Friend taught, and this is the one thing I didn't have on my site. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I started in some of my neighborhoods. I built within my neighborhood, right? So somebody might actually search 3-bedroom home for sale in that neighborhood. So I literally, as crazy as this sounds, I had a screenshot on day one. I think I took it out of the slide deck. I ranked for 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom homes and everything on this front page. See, I'm above the fold. So that's crazy. So if you were looking in here, you know, would you click into somebody that looked like they were local? I don't know. But at the end of the day, that's the goal. Like, what if I get the click? What if I can actually make this move up here? Will I get the click in? But I do think if you got deep in a neighborhood, you're going to pick up not a ton of leads, but that is where somebody would come in on the buy side. Just to let you guys know. Here's
Hey,
the thing.
Lorraine.
Yeah, what's a question?
You have two really great questions in the chat, one from Lori and one from Eric. If you want to
Okay.
take care of those real quick, and then we can get back to your
Yeah, let's
presentation.
see. Let me try to get in the chat. Uh, Once you're in screen share, it's weird sometimes. I'm so sorry. Hold on. Okay. So is that title in the website? The 5-bedroom homes is the meta tag. Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. And I get tomorrow, I'm going to show some of that. I'll show you guys like actual page build out and how that works to create it, but it is. Do you suggest doing zip code pages instead of town names if we are doing suburbs of a city? Are you located outside of Boston? I used you as an example. Okay, so I would tell you I do both. I have Dallas, Georgia on mine, and then I have the zip codes that are in that area. So if you're doing a suburb, of Boston. I'm not familiar with the geography up there, but like for example, we have Atlanta, Georgia, and then that has got 2 counties primarily in it. Somebody apparently was late for work and they let a kid scribble, and our lines for everything are horrible. We are not a grid system. They make no rhyme or reason. We have one city out where I'm at, close by me, that is in 4 counties. So that's the other thing. You're going to have to really know your area. So if you build out a city, are there zip codes that are different in it? I talked to somebody in Florida the other day, and their city was one zip code. So it depends on how you're structured. But that's the thing when before you touch your site, really get to know what you need to build out. Number two, even if you want to rank for listings and getting sellers, you got to build your site because you're going to hyperlink all this information and you can't do that without the links. So I'm going to share tomorrow with you guys a framework to help you come up with all your links. And once you have all your links, I'm going to give you my prompt on how to build out a landing page and then a blog. So we'll do blogs the third day. But the key thing is, without all those links, you can't link to everything. So, does Sierra play something like Lofty? Um, it is, yes. Sierra is another form of a CRM instead of Lofty. And I'm very partial. Obviously, I'm on a Sierra website. I'm at a brokerage that has Lofty. And I will just say the amount of complaints and the fact that everybody doesn't rank the same is large. Um, so on my site, I did have Sherry Young build out my front, so it probably looks different if you have another site. I know that they are rolling out some options at Sierra that you could have them do it. Sherry Young's a great alternative. And then I do know they just rolled out their luxury sites. But I built mine out a while back. And look, if you click into these, that's going to take you, it's a little slow on the Zoom, um, to my waterfront homes for sale in Dallas, Georgia, right? This is going to take you to new construction in Dallas, Georgia. I have my best neighborhoods, pros and cons is something, like I said, that's the number one thing people always are looking for when they want to relocate. Is it a good place to live? I've got a call to action for selling a home. These are my two primary zip codes. These link back to information somebody would want. Um, this is a Dallas, Georgia guide. So that's going to take them to that page. These are my lifestyle homes. Like I said, new construction, single family, no HOA, homes with a pool, luxury homes. I'm just trying to direct traffic back. This is my team. There are some reviews, another widget there. And then I am going to give this to you too. So it will be different once you have all your links. I also built out a way that you can pop your links in, pop my prompt into Claude, and it will help you with this. This is kind of the strategy that Zillow, I'm at 144, doing a lot of info, guys, sorry. But I got to build some groundwork before I can show you how to build a page, right? And I'm going to give you a lot of tools to take away with when this is done. But on here, what I've done is I realized that I kept analyzing, asking multiple types of AI, Zillow's strategy. I don't have Zillow money. I have Lorraine money. So I can't build a whole website out for every city, town, zip code, school, everything all across the US. But what could I do in Dallas, right? What could I do on my one little piece? So for me, what I did is this is the stuff I want to rank for. And I came in and I was like, what is their linking strategy? And so if you've ever been on Zillow, realtor.com, anybody, what do? You can get from one page to another one. If you're on a page for a neighborhood and you want to know about the schools, they made a linking tool on there to let you see what schools feed to that neighborhood feeds into. They let you know what if you want to look at, but if you want to get out of the neighborhood and look at zip codes, you want to look at the whole city of Dallas, whatever you want to do. So this was something I built for the bottom to be able to have that linking system, and then you can build small little pieces of like that in Sierra. You can have like I said, these long tail keywords. I have a little section where they can search these always when they're on any page. Only because that's what keeps somebody on your site, that gets them to link. Google likes when you interlink. They love an outside link to you. That's harder to get. That's a whole nother topic. But all that stuff inside, if you make it easy for someone to house shop, you interlink, you're just going to show up more. Are you going to beat Zillow all on everything? Probably not. Don't think about that. You're just trying to beat another agent. You're just trying to show up. Does somebody have another comment? I apologize. Like I said, I can see something going on.
Hey, Lorraine, so we have one in Q&A from Kathy, and she wants to know how long and how many months have you spent building your website? It looks awesome.
That's always the $1 million question. So I started years ago and built the framework. I would tell you, everybody I talked to recently that starts working on it, you're going to have some heavy build, depending on if you're sitting doing it or somebody else. If you build the framework out, you're probably, I don't know how many hours you're going to sit and do it, or if you're going to hire somebody. that's that's hard to determine. I would say my basic site and the framework I'm going to give you with the drop downs and all that, you could do that if you dedicated hours a day for a little while to it, or a good block. If you had like a whole day you could sit down, you could probably build that out in a good month, especially now that you have prompts. And everything. And then from there, it's going to take you, it could be 3 to 6 months for some stuff to rank. And then I work on it all the time. What percentage of business? This is going to change too. You got to realize AI has changed your whole world. When I first started doing this, if I went into Google and you know how you could type in something and then it had all the little drop downs of questions, that's what I started with. And that's how I started ranking for my seller leads. I literally answered anything that it asked on Google. Somebody had searched about how to buy or how to sell their home. So I will tell you that's the work piece to it. So what percentage of my business? I'm probably 50% referral from my sphere. I'm probably another 25 referral from agents and 25 from here. So it's one of my major pillars. It's a good 20, like I said, it's probably 25% of my business, and it's somebody who just calls me. So I don't know. I do social media, I do high end listing videos, but I'm not a TikTok girl. I'm not singing, dancing. I do enough social media that somebody finds me. I do a lot of hyper local Dallas social media, but I'm not voiceovers. I don't want to go do that. I don't always want to show up. Like I'm on camera today. I don't want to be on all the time. I don't want to feel like I got to post, and I don't feel like that's where I mean, some people do it and it's great. We all have superpowers. We all have ways we get business. I feel like if I had more time or maybe paid somebody, could I do more? I'm in a small area though, guys, too. You got to realize I am very niche down. If you guys go Google Dallas, Georgia, and you find me, you're gonna see I have people think it's there's a lot of stuff going on out here, and there's not. Downtown is 4 blocks. I make it look amazing. It's not a lot of space, so I'm very, very focused down. How do I feel about registration boxes that pop up on your website? I don't do a ton. I mean, I don't have like I know some people have like the little chat box and the somebody that talks to them. I'm we're small. There's three of us, and we can handle anybody coming on. If you're on at 2 o'clock in the morning, we're probably not going to chat with you anyway. And I don't. I'll use AI. I don't love to talk to AI. So that's just my opinion. I don't know if it slows it down or not. That's probably a Sierra question. Mallory, can you answer that?
So say that again.
Registration boxes, like little chats or anything, I think is what they're asking that pop up. Does it slow your site down?
I don't believe that it slows your site down. Really, the way that you should look at that is what is your goal there? Do you want people to spend more time on your site going through all of your information without capturing any information from them? Or do you want to capture their information immediately, risking the fact that they may bounce? So I don't think that it impacts speed on your site enough to even matter. It's really just more about what your true goal is there.
Okay, so I would tell you, here's the other thing everybody asks me. Google Analytics, because on the seller side, people come to me through a phone call, email, and text. They may not even show up in my analytics because a lot of times they are not, if I'm on the Google Map pack along, which happens sometimes with it, they just call me. As you saw, I showed you voicemail messages. That one Google contact, a lot of times if they click in and can see my email, they're not registering. I've never once had a seller register on my site. Never. And they just don't come that way. So that's where a lot of people, it's almost that dopamine rush, because we want to track everything, and we want that, oh, somebody registered on my site and all that, and it's just like that dopamine rush on social media. Oh, 1,000 people saw my Instagram video. I can get 1,000 on a basic video that I make. That's nothing special. I just feel like people couldn't bounce off of it fast enough, right? The finger was on there too long. I think it's something like 3 seconds and it's considered a view. I don't know about you, but nobody's coming to me from, they just saw 3 seconds of what I did. So don't think that on the listing side that that's how they're coming in. They may never, they just might look at my site and be like, oh, she's obviously all in Dallas, right? Like they're going to come to me. No, I do not think an email newsletter will link it back. When I say an external link, that's really coming from domain authority, because I know it won't. Because an email is just something you send to a person, and really domain authority is from another website recommending you back. I do know of some agents that have a lot of vendors that they work with and they partner with, and they will have a blog on their site and link them back. Any recommendations? Did you win an award? I think you can see over here, I have the best of Georgia. I've got link backs to me. The more link backs for you, the more that helps you. You're trusted. Somebody writes something good to you. Do you and I do a lot on my Google My Business. I do a lot of posts, and then I will link it to a blog. So we do get people that or a landing page, and it's really easy. It's things like, and you can schedule it out now on Google My Business, which is amazing. You used to have to use a tool. But you can write things like, relocating to Dallas, Georgia, guide, whatever it is, right? Use keywords, but that will help. It's not quite the same as an external link, where somebody else wrote something about you, but it will help you. Let's see, a certain number of zip codes. I'm so tiny, guys. I'm really tiny. There's only a couple out here of zip codes where I'm at. So I would tell you, when I said I niched, I niched. Do I serve outside of my city and county? Absolutely. I do a lot of my sphere was when I first got into the business that I helped. They're sprinkled throughout a couple other counties close by. But for somebody to find me to list them, I had to go small. And when I would tell you another secret, when you're trying to figure out where you're going to niche down, that questionnaire that I shared will tell you, look at your competition. Is somebody else owning your area? Like for another agent right now to come in Dallas, Georgia, they're going to need to pick another city probably in my county. I have so much. They're going to compete with me. And I would just say that's going to be harder for somebody because I already exist out there. Just like I got somebody new that came in. He's only got IDX feed. I'm going to have content. I'll bump him back down because I'll spend the time. So you got to look at that too. What's your competition? Do they have a little bit out there, or do they have a lot? Let's see. Niching down, hyper local, yes. Okay. Is it easy to find content for a zip code if your niche is buyers? I'm going to give you blogs for the sellers, because this is a seller series. And then on the buyer side, you could totally go into Claude. I don't have it right now. But you can go in, and here's what I would tell you: tell Claude that you want a list of blogs to attract buyers for that zip code. You do not want to cannibalize and steal any SEO juice from that zip code. You're going to have that zip code in there and link back so that you're directing them back over there. But it would let you know what all you need to write. It'll come up with it if you tell it what you want. You could ask it to do something similar, throw my list of blogs in for sellers and say, I want the same thing, but I want it for buyers. Like, there's all kinds of things you can do in there to be able to rank. And that content, it's sheer volume. Nobody's reading all my blogs about selling a home. They just know I show up and I look like I'm a really good agent to hire in Dallas, Georgia. I've sold over 700 homes. I have a call to action that I've sold over 700 homes. Me personally, not just my team. So those things matter when it helps you rank too, because you would be an authority. 263 subdivisions. Okay, if you're going to build up the neighborhoods, I would totally tell you to go in, and that is what you need to do. You need to have a create an IDX for each one, and then create a content page. So I'm going to show you guys how to build out, like I said, a neighborhood or a landing page tomorrow. But yes, you're going to want all those neighborhoods built out. And it's not cannibalizing your site. That's just what, if that's your city, that's what it's in. So
Hey, Lorraine.
I think I'm out of time. I'm sorry. Hey, Mallory.
Hey, yes. So we have 2 minutes left, but just a note for tomorrow because you are going to be showing how you're building the landing pages. Blair wants to know if you could possibly show how you're utilizing Claude via HTML in Sierra's content editor when you're doing
I
that.
absolutely will show that
Okay.
tomorrow. And I have one last little thing. Let me get slipped over here. Let me pop that down. You don't have to be everywhere, and you just have to be unforgettable somewhere, is what I want you guys to know. So when you're picking your niche, you don't have to be huge. You just have to be unforgettable somewhere and have that knowledge about that area. And I absolutely will show that tomorrow. I promise. Anything else, Mallory? I know I'm out of time. This went fast.
Um, Yeah, it goes so fast, but for everyone on here, just know that I will be sending a follow-up email, yes, with the recording, so don't worry about that. And then with the two documents that Lorraine has created and is going to share with you guys. So otherwise, thank you guys for bringing all the questions, for being so engaging for Lorraine, and we still have 2 days left. So we'll see you guys tomorrow and Thursday.
Thank you. Bye.